In 2019, in the quiet town of Tamworth, England, a story began to unravel, one that shook the community to its core and left a lasting scar on all who knew its tragic details. This footage shows the final moments of Keeley Bunker before she turned up dead in a park. She was celebrating her 20th birthday with a few friends, one of whom was 20-year-old Wesley Street. The two had known each other since childhood, and Keeley completely trusted him. So, when he offered to walk her home, she readily agreed, not knowing that he was a vile predator masquerading as a nice guy. What really happened that night? How did Keeley meet her tragic end? And how did Wesley's sinister nature remain hidden for so long? This is the story of Keeley Bunker, a life cut short by a shocking betrayal. Let's explore this heartbreaking case of Keeley Bunker, the innocent 20-year-old who was raped and murdered by her childhood friend in what he claimed was an accident. But before we dive into today's case, I just want to remind you to like the video and subscribe if you're new. Your support helps me a lot. Thank you. Keeley Bunker was born on September 7th, 1999. Keeley Bunker was a beautiful, vibrant, and outgoing young woman from Tamworth, UK. Her family described her as kind-hearted and caring, someone who would do anything for anybody without hesitation. She didn't have a bad bone in her body. Keeley had a special love for children and often dreamed about having 3 or more of her own someday. At the time of the incident, she was preparing for an interview at her former elementary school, where she hoped to work as an assistant teacher. Sadly, someone she had trusted her entire life took everything from her in the most unimaginable way. On September 18, 2019, Keeley, who had just turned 20, decided to celebrate her milestone birthday with an event she had been looking forward to for weeks, a concert by her favorite rapper, H, at the O2 Institute in Birmingham. Her excitement was evident in a tweet she posted 2 days before: "Only thing keeping me going is seeing H on Wednesday. Hopefully he'll see me, and we'll get married, XXX. She attended the concert with her best friend, Monique Riggin, and the two girls had an amazing time together. It was a night of music, laughter, and celebration, meant to mark a new chapter in Keeley's life. After the concert, they met up with another friend named Wesley Street, and they went to a nightclub called Snobs to continue with the celebrations. Now, Wesley, who was also 20 years old, had known Keeley since preschool and had maintained their friendship throughout the years. So Keeley really trusted Wesley, never for one moment thought that he would do anything to hurt her. Footage from Birmingham New Street Station shows Wesley making his way to meet up with Keeley and Monique after the concert. Later, CCTV captures Keeley and Monique at the entrance of Snobs nightclub, accompanied by Wesley. Inside the club, Keeley can be seen dancing and enjoying herself, full of life and happiness. There's nothing in the footage that suggests anything unusual. Wesley, too, appears to be relaxed, laughing, and having a good time alongside them. Everything about the evening seemed perfectly normal, a night of celebration among close friends. The 3 friends left the club at around 3:30 a.m. and took a cab to Monique's home. They arrived at Monique's home at 4 a.m., and as they were standing outside, Monique asked Keeley to stay over for the night, but she declined, saying she was too tired and wanted to go home since she had an interview later in the afternoon. Keeley's house was just a short walking distance away, and she assured her friend that she'd be okay because she had Wesley with her. She said, "I've got Wes. I'll be fine. I'll walk back with him. I'll be safe." Heartbreakingly, it would turn out that she was wrong about Wesley. Keeley's family and friends began getting worried when she didn't show up for the big job interview that she had been so excited about. They tried calling and texting her, but got no response. Monique then contacted Wesley to see if Keeley had stayed over with him, because he had suggested at one point that both girls could sleep at his house, but they both refused. Wesley claimed that he had left Keeley at a telephone booth near his house, and she walked the rest of the way alone. When Monique told him that Keeley had not returned home, he became angry, saying that he was being accused of Keeley going missing. Around 5:30 p.m. that day, Keeley's family called the police to report her missing, and since Wesley was the last person to see her, he was brought in for questioning. He told the police the same thing he had told Monique, that he left her near a telephone booth. The police then asked him to show them the exact location he left her and the route that they'd walked to get there, and he was very cooperative. But then, after the police asked for his phone, he became super anxious and completely defensive.
She walked at all?
No. I'm guessing she went there.
Okay.
She was going there.
Which way would she go home normally?
This way.
Back that way? Yeah? Okay. Is that the way you would walk if?
Yeah.
Okay. Just as part of the investigation, mate, I actually need to grab your phone off you.
Yeah.
Is that alright? Can I just grab it, mate?
Yeah, that's fine, mate.
Lovely, thank you.
As the hours passed, the search for Keeley intensified. Her family, friends, and the police worked tirelessly, scouring every corner of the area for any trace of the missing 20-year-old. Around 9 p.m., the search took a devastating turn. Jason Brown, Keeley's uncle, who had been combing through Wigginton Park near the telephone booth Wesley had mentioned, spotted something in a shallow stream running through the park. As he moved closer, his heart sank. He saw what appeared to be hair and an arm wearing a bracelet, unmistakably belonging to Keeley. Overcome with horror, he let out a gut-wrenching scream, summoning the rest of the search party. Everyone ran to his side to see what was going on, and they saw him staring in horror inside a tunnel where the lifeless body of his niece lay face down in the water. Her inner clothes had been pulled down, and there were marks on her neck indicating she had been choked to death. Whoever had done this had forced himself upon her, ended her life, and attempted to cover her body with branches. The case was now a murder investigation, and Wesley, being the first suspect, was immediately arrested. Here is body cam footage of his arrest. In the background, you can hear Wesley's anxious parents talking to the police and wanting to know why their son was being arrested. On the way to the police station, Wesley allegedly told police he was hungry and if there was any food to eat when he got there. At the station, Wesley's unsettling behavior continued. When asked by an officer how he was feeling, he responded, "A bit sad." I wouldn't even say a bit sad, just sad. His apparent lack of remorse or distress immediately raised eyebrows. During the initial interrogation, Wesley stuck to his story, insisting that he had left Keeley at the telephone booth and gone straight home. But his claims began to crumble when investigators analyzed his phone's GPS data. Contrary to his account, the data revealed that Wesley had not gone home at all. Instead, it showed that he had been in the park, the very place where Keeley's body was found. Also, CCTV footage, which has never been released, showed Wesley and Keeley walking together towards the park at 4:23 a.m. in the morning. In the footage, Keeley was reportedly seen trying to get away from Wesley. The two were inside the park for about 1 hour, and then Wesley was seen leaving the park by himself. But the GPS on his phone showed that he returned to the park several more times that day. Wesley's jacket and a TM card were found in the park. His DNA was also found all over Keeley's body. With this evidence, Wesley was charged with sexual assault and murder. Wesley's trial began in August 2020, and several people were called to testify. One was Keeley's best friend, Monique. She told the court she had known Keeley since the age of 10 or 11, describing her as one of my closest friends. She also said she had known Wesley since high school, adding, "He was just everybody's friend, just a friendly person." She told the court that she, Keeley, Wesley, and another male friend would often meet up at a bench in Wigginton Park, near Tamworth Rugby Club, to smoke cannabis before going to bed. She said she and Keeley would never go without the other two. The night before her friend died, She said that they were using her phone since Keeley's phone was broken. They had arranged to meet Wesley once the concert ended at 10:10 p.m. He met them at a McDonald's near New Street Station, and the three of them went to Snob's nightclub. She said that they were in Snob's for around 3 hours, adding that she and Keeley drank around 4 vodka Red Bulls each in the club, but were not drunk. When asked how much Wesley had taken, she said, "Every time we had 1 drink, he had 3. He said he was drunk a lot towards the end of the night." She told the court that on the way home, Wesley said he felt really sick, and at one point asked the cab to pull over to let him out. She became emotional as she described the last moment she saw her friend and how she had told her not to worry because she was with Wesley. Monique said that she messaged Keeley later in the day about a Snapchat memory of the two of them, but didn't get any reply. Then she messaged Wesley at around 1 p.m, asking, "Are you all right? Did you get home okay?" That's when he told her that he had left Keeley at the phone booth to walk the rest of the way by herself. But she said Wesley kept changing his story about what happened during their walk home. First, he said he went from the phone box to be sick in his house. Then he said he was sick outside of the house. It kept changing. A club goer named Josh, who had met the 3 friends and Snobs for the first time, also got to the stand and testified that while he was talking with Keeley, her friend called Wes kept coming up to them and shaking his hand. Josh described him as 9 out of 10 drunk, but silly drunk, not aggressive. Josh then told Keeley he had to leave. The two said their goodbyes and exchanged Snapchat contact details because her phone was broken. Josh said shortly after that, Wesley came up from behind and lifted Keeley up, but she laughed it off. He said that he messaged Keeley on Snapchat later that morning and asked if she got home okay, but he never received a reply. Later that day, he came across a missing persons appeal for her on Twitter and told his sister he had been talking with Keeley the previous night. At the beginning of the trial, Wesley maintained his innocence, claiming that when he left her, Keeley was alive and in a good mood, saying she seemed happy 110%. However, when presented with all the evidence, he changed his story, admitting that he was indeed in the park with Keeley when she died. Wesley initially claimed that Keeley's death was an accident. He told investigators that they had been playing around in the park when he jumped on her back for a piggyback ride. According to his story, Keeley lost her balance, fell, and fatally hit her head on a gatepost. However, this explanation didn't align with the forensic evidence. Keeley's injuries, including bruising around her neck, told a much darker story, one that couldn't be explained away as an accident. Keeley's cause of death was from someone deliberately applying pressure to her neck. No traumatic injury was found in her brain. Also, this does not explain how his DNA was found on Keeley's body. When confronted with this evidence, Wesley changed his story yet again, claiming that while they were walking toward the park, he and Keeley began flirting with each other. But again, he was shown CCTV footage of Keeley trying to get away from him. Wesley's next version of events became even more disturbing. He claimed that he and Keeley had been fighting in the park, which escalated into kissing and fooling around. According to him, everything was consensual until he got carried away and unintentionally killed her while putting his arms around her neck from behind. This explanation was not only implausible but contradicted by the forensic evidence, which showed sustained pressure consistent with deliberate strangulation, not a momentary lapse in control. When he realized what he had done, he admitted that he tried to cover it up by dragging her body to the pond and covering her with branches. Wesley lived very close to the park and got home around 6:20 a.m, but went back to the scene 4 hours later to cover her body with more branches, hoping she wouldn't be found. He repeated this several times throughout the day until he was taken in for questioning. When asked why he lied the first time, he claimed, "I was scared and didn't know how to tell people how she died. I was scared to explain to the police, everyone, my mum and dad. The prosecution presented a chilling alternative theory of what had transpired. They believed that Wesley convinced Keeley to stop at the park under the pretense of smoking, a familiar activity that wouldn't have raised alarms for her. However, once they arrived, he turned on her in the most vile and predatory manner. The sense of betrayal Keeley must have felt in her final moments is unfathomable. This was someone she had known and trusted nearly her entire life, a trusted friend who revealed himself to be a predator hiding in plain sight. The claim that Keeley's death was an accident, as Wesley repeatedly suggested, was dismantled by forensic evidence. Strangulation isn't instantaneous, it takes sustained effort, often lasting minutes, to end someone's life in this way. A forensic doctor testified that Keeley had hemorrhages in her eyes, a clear indication of pressure applied to the blood vessels in her neck consistent with deliberate strangulation. Additionally, there was a triangular mark on Keeley's neck, which the doctor identified as a fingernail scratch, likely caused by her desperate attempt to remove the hand or object that was choking her. These findings painted a harrowing picture of Keeley's final moments. She also had bruises on her face and scratches on her forehead. As the trial continued, more and more chilling evidence would be revealed to show the kind of monster Wesley really was, and as it would turn out, Keeley was not his only victim. So Wesley had been living a double life. While he presented himself as the nice and friendly guy who was the life and soul of the party, he was, in reality, a serial predator who preyed on vulnerable young women. In 2015, he allegedly attacked a 16-year-old girl in a bathroom and a kitchen. Then, in 2017, he did the same thing to a 15-year-old. Months before he killed Keeley, he had attacked another 20-year-old woman. The prosecution suspected that Wesley had more victims than those identified during the trial. However, only 3 survivors came forward to share their experiences. Of these, only 1 had reported the attack to the police before Keeley's murder. The other 2, who had remained silent for years, found the courage to come forward after hearing about Keeley's tragic case. Their testimonies revealed a chilling pattern of behavior, further proving that Wesley's crime against Keeley was not an isolated incident. One survivor shared her story in court, recounting how she met Wesley for the first time and exchanged Snapchat details with him. Wesley later messaged her, complimenting her appearance and asking to meet up. She agreed, thinking, why not? Give it a go, but what started as a casual encounter turned into a nightmare when Wesley attacked her in his home. For years, she blamed herself for what happened, believing her decision to visit his house made her responsible. It wasn't until she heard the tragic news about Keeley that she found the strength to speak out. Another survivor described the lasting impact of Wesley's attack on her life. She admitted that the experience had left her feeling broken and overwhelmed for a long time. After what he did to me, I thought it was going to destroy me, but I haven't let it, she said. Her courage in coming forward brought her a sense of relief, knowing that the truth about Wesley's actions had finally come to light. She expressed gratitude that she, the other survivors, and Keeley's family and friends were finally seeing justice being served. The third survivor revealed the shame and fear she felt after Wesley attacked her, emotions that kept her from speaking out for years. After Wesley attacked me, I was scared to tell anyone, she admitted. But hearing about Keeley's murder compelled her to break her silence. Reflecting on her experience, she shared an important realization looking back. If something makes you physically sick in your stomach, it's definitely not okay. Her testimony was both brave and heartbreaking, shedding light on the emotional toll Wesley's crimes had taken on his victims. When I speak out about my experience, I had to fight a lot of demons. A lot of insecurities I masked over the years came back. I have been left with a lot of psychological trauma. The prosecution said she understood how social pressure might have prevented the victims from reporting the incident. Keeley Bunker, our Keeley Bunks, was the kindest, most beautiful young lady you could ever wish to meet. Keeley was compassionate, loving, caring, and would put others before herself, always. Keeley loved everyone unconditionally, and nothing was ever too much trouble. She had many friends. She didn't realize just how many she had. Her life was taken away so cruelly and far too soon. As Keeley's family, the outcome of this trial will never be enough in terms of justice. It will never bring our Keeley back to us. We miss her so much, and words can never express the heartache we feel. Before Wesley was sentenced, the judge told him that while walking Keeley home that early morning, he was satisfied you persuaded Keeley to divert to the rugby club, probably on the pretext of going for a smoke. He said, "What took place in Willington Park is you proceeded to Keeley Bunker, in the course of which you murdered her by throttling her, in all probability, by placing her in a chokehold for a sufficient period of time to kill her." The judge elaborated on the deliberate cruelty of Wesley's actions. He explained that the chokehold Wesley applied would have lasted for minutes, not seconds. Once Wesley had ended Keeley's life, he coldly decided to hide her body, dragging it to a brook and covering it with branches in a futile attempt to conceal his crime. Afterward, Wesley walked home, went to bed, and slept, showing an appalling lack of remorse or humanity. The judge highlighted Wesley's calculated deceit in the aftermath of the murder. He noted that Wesley had carefully crafted a web of lies, each tailored to fit the evidence investigators uncovered. The judge emphasized the magnitude of the loss. Not only had Keeley been robbed of the opportunity to fulfill her dreams of working with children, but her family had been stripped of the irreplaceable presence of a beloved daughter, sister, and niece. Wesley Street was sentenced to a minimum of 30 years in prison, with the judge stating that he may never be released. The judge explained that any potential release would only occur if the parole board deemed Wesley no longer a danger to the public. Even in such a case, Wesley would remain on license for life, underscoring the severity of his crimes and the need to protect others from his predatory nature. Following the trial, the lead investigator expressed relief at Wesley's conviction and sentencing. She stated that she hoped the verdict would bring some measure of comfort to Keeley's grieving family and friends. This devious and manipulative character, someone who repeatedly lied and targeted young women, is now behind bars, she said. She also extended her gratitude to everyone involved in the investigation, acknowledging their efforts in bringing justice for Keeley. What are your thoughts on this heartbreaking case and its outcome? Do you believe justice was served, or is there more to be done to protect victims like Keeley? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this story impactful, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on future cases. Your support means a lot and helps keep these important stories alive.